Lakers down 2. James off the window. It goes! Vintage LeBron. And we got 5 more minutes of fun. Dillon Brooks, we wanted James. He gets him. James drives. James is fouled. At 38 years of age in year 20, the Los Angeles Lakers have the Grizzlies on the brink of elimination.
That was a vintage night for LeBron James, who became the oldest player in any game to have 20 points and 20 rebounds. That's not in the postseason. In any NBA game, he carried the Lakers to overtime, tying the game with a second remaining. It was his first game-tying or go-ahead shot in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter. In any game since 2018, he had missed 21 consecutive shots in that situation going into last night. So an incredible night for LeBron, an incredible night for the Lakers. We have complete coverage of it all morning. Again, Legs and Alan Hahn, and Jay Will has made his way over. Jay Williams from KJM. Where do we begin on LeBron James this morning, that performance and that win for the Lakers?
I mean, first off, at the age of 38 years old, he's 3 years younger than me, playing at a high level, blocking shots, taking charges and making critical plays and taking the shot down the stretch when you need him to the most. I do want to give a lot of love to D'Angelo Russell, though. He didn't shoot the ball well, but those 3 threes he made, LeBron James is never in position to make that shot without the ancillary support that he got from D'Lo and Austin Reeves making plays down the stretch.
Well, that's the thing. And Alan, I forget who brought it up, but maybe the most underappreciated person in this run, if they go on one, will be Rob Pelinka, the frequently criticized general manager of the Lakers, Jay. At the trade deadline, many of us were disappointed. Oh, they didn't get Kyrie. This wasn't what they needed. Well, actually, maybe it was all exactly what they needed.
And last night, I thought AD was going to pull the ripcord. There was a point with the hip legs. I was watching it, Alan. I'm like, is he going to do it again? And that to me just continues to prove the greatness of LeBron James. That even though AD and other players aren't playing at their best, last night was a game in the trenches, a game in the mud, right? It's like a rock fight when shots aren't going down, with the exception of Desmond Bane making shots. But LeBron James carried the load offensively and defensively.
Are they going to win this series now, Legs? Is there any question? Up 3-1, they need 1 out of 3. 2 of them will be in Memphis. The Grizzlies have young legs. Ja Morant continues to look spectacular. I don't even know what else to say. In your mind, people will say, well, it's over now. The Lakers have got it. Is that right?
We love to end series when teams get to 3. It's unbelievable. But they got to get to 4. Now, so I'm not going to sit here and declare it's over, because I think Memphis wins the next game. So that puts a lot of pressure on the Lakers to go home and close this thing out. And that's going to be a tight game. So I'm not going to sit here and say there's no shot Memphis comes back. You asked me, do I expect the Lakers to close this out? Yes, I do, particularly because of the fact that they won last night with guys making plays that weren't Anthony Davis. And we said yesterday going into the game, they only go as far as Anthony Davis goes. He struggled all night offensively. He did have some big plays late, but they got help from other areas on a night when LeBron didn't have a huge scoring night. To think if you gave me the stat line, LeBron 20, AD plays the way he does, and they win the game, I would have said no chance. That bodes very well for the Lakers, not just to close the series out, but in the next round as well.
What do you think, Alan?
Well, first of all, let's go to the numbers. All right, so 95% of the time, you're going to win when you go up 3-1. So the Lakers have a great chance to close out the series, whether it's in 5 or 6. But the other thing to talk about is just what we said, Rob Pelinka and what he built around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The ability to defend in the NBA in the playoffs is critical. All the great teams that have won championships, their defense has had to be a big part of it. He rebuilt a team that has young legs that can defend. That's number one. And then the supporting cast around LeBron James, who is a willing passer, who is a guy that is going to facilitate and lead and then make big shots when necessary. You have guys that a lot of people have never heard of stepping up, making great plays, and then your stars. You have 2 of them making big plays when it matters, like you saw AD do there.
That block that we just showed you a couple of times by Anthony Davis at the end of regulation, that LeBron turns and casually flips in from whatever that is, 65
Jerry
feet
West
away.
shot, right?
If that counted,
imagine
it was just after the buzzer, and so the game goes to overtime. Had that counted, I mean, and here it is again.
We'd be saying Jimmy who?
Exactly. That's right. But LeBron just turns around. Again, you're just seeing the block, and correctly so. Our staff did the right thing. They cut the block because that's the only part of the play that counts. But if LeBron's fling had actually counted, it would be one of the greatest plays of all time.
Can I say something real quick, though? I mean, Memphis, they want all the smoke. They run up the chimney. Come on, Dillon Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, John Morant.
Right.
I mean, now Dillon Brooks, 2 games in a row. You call LeBron James old. Yo, step up and come to the podium.
That's it.
Yeah, just talk about the ass whooping that you got, Greeny. You got to be a man about it.
Right.
You know, like you got to face it.
Particularly the play when he basically saddled him up and Dillon Brooks rode him to the rim.
And won.
That 3-point
Took
play
him to the
end
rack.
game.
Come on, man.
Yeehaw!
Beast motored him and then flexed on him and let him know you poked the bear. You like poking bears. You poke this one, and now you're in big trouble.
People call them front runners for those type of reasons.
Well
You
said.
can't be the team that talks all the trash when things go well, and then when things get rough, you disappear.
Real quick, the only reason I said I'm not going to sit here and definitely say there's no way to come back is because of the competitive nature of John Morant. Like, that team is going to continue to come at you, and they're going to win a home game. Now the Lakers have one home game left to close it out, or you end up with a Game 7 on the road.
Look, the reality is that 3-1 stat, which Alan gave you, 95% of the time the team up 3-1 wins the series. But that is frequently a high-seeded team against a low-seeded team.
course.
This is a 7 up on a 2. This could be the Lakers would be the first team ever to come out of the play-in and win a playoff series should they do it. Which brings us to Jimmy Butler, because we might have another happening on the Eastern Conference side of things. And if you didn't watch this last night, I mean, Jimmy Butler delivered genuinely one of the greatest performances in playoff history.
I mean, he had 20 straight points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
20 straight points and had 21 points in the fourth quarter. He didn't come into the fourth quarter until 8 minutes and 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Coach Bud, can we get a ripple of defense? Can we throw a double team at him? And also, Giannis, I need you to guard him the whole game. Half this team is undrafted, Greeny. I'm sorry I'm talking over the highlights.
No, go.
Half this Miami team is undrafted.
The highlights are Jimmy Butler scoring 56 points. That's all you need to know about the highlights, and putting the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, who have the best record in the entire NBA and were most people's favorite to win the championship when the playoffs began, including mine, putting their back squarely against the wall. And it looked to me, Alan, like you have a lot of questions about the way Milwaukee handled.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about how great it was to see Jimmy Butler perform like that. Playoff Jimmy has given us these kind of moments, but I'm with Jay. They double-teamed him 4 times. 4 times in the entire – how many have in the first quarter?
He had 21 in the first.
So by then, you think playoff Jimmy is engaged, right? So maybe we should start saying, let somebody else, like Caleb Martin, give me someone else to beat me. I'm not letting playoff Jimmy beat me. But they didn't. 4 times.
Here's why this performance was so amazing. I hate ranking them because when you really go look at the list, there's been a lot of great playoff performances. But here's the thing. Rarely do you see a guy go off to this extent in scoring, where every shot they needed, literally every bucket he got, they needed. You can go pick 4 or 5 of those out. If they don't go in, they lose the game. That's how important it was. And to get to that number while doing that, that is why what we watched last night is one of the rarest things you're ever going to see in the NBA.
I need Giannis to guard him every possession. Like, seriously, if you're going to Game 5, and I still think the Bucks can win 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that sounds absurd to say.
How does Giannis's back look to you?
I mean, he had a triple-double last night.
I
Looked
get
good
it.
to me.
But
As long as he's not sitting down.
Can he just dominate the game? They're going to need him to be the best player in the league.
You are down 3-1. There is no choice right now for the best player in basketball.
No, but can he physically do it?
Yes, I think he can.
Because that's the question mark here, right?
When he was sitting on the bench, he looked more uncomfortable than he was playing in the game.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, though, the stat actually is, when Drew Holiday was guarding Jimmy Butler, he missed some shots. When anybody else not named Drew Holiday was guarding him in this game, he was 9 for 10. So it's really more Drew Holiday that you think needs to be the guy guarding him and then throw some doubles.
Is Miami going to knock out the 1 seed?
I'm not counting the Bucks out. I absolutely believe they could win 3 straight. One of the biggest components of this series no one's talking about, the Bucks can't get matched at the 3-point line. The Heat were the fourth worst 3-point shooting team in the league, and they're going toe-to-toe with the Bucks in the 3-point line. Their supporting cast has not done what they did in the regular season, except for 1 game in this series. That's a huge element going forward, but I think the Bucks can win 3 straight.
Quickly, because I have to let Jay go. Is Milwaukee going to get knocked out here in the first round?
No.
No, they're going to still win.
They're still going to. There's no Tyler Hero or Victor Oladipo.
Right.
Neither.
And yet Jimmy Butler with his 56 has
crazy.
Miami on the brink. Outstanding. Jay Will, KJM, every morning on ESPN Radio. Meanwhile, as we continue, risky business in New York. Is it Super Bowl or bust for Aaron Rodgers? What happens if it goes south? Why did someone write that for me to ask? We're going all the way. JETS. We're back with more on Aaron in just a moment.